Hi, it's Rex here again at RW Mods. Today I was going to do a little tuning video. So today I'm going to talk to you about carb tuning. And to start with that, we got a couple different carbs here. The biggest thing when you start tuning, or if you're new to tuning, or if you've done it for 5 years and you just got by, is idle gap. I went through the same process myself. Why would I need to change the idle gap if it's idling fine? Well, I'm going to try and explain that to you. To set idle gap, I use a paper clip. Most carburetors, 30 thousandths or 0.7 millimeters is about the right gap. Now, OS is a little less, like a half millimeter or 20 thousandths. And to set idle gap, I'll set down one carburetor here. You take out the carb insert, the restrictor, and then what you want is the gap to be 30 thousandths. And what I do is I'll squeeze it. See, this one's a little bit, well, that's about right. So you squeeze the carb and it tightens against the paper clip. See, I can hold that upside down. So this one's set pretty close. This is just a spare carb. I've never actually even used it. So if you can see that gap, it's about 30. And then you have different carburetors tuned different. It used to be almost every carburetor had the short low speed needle. So with the short low speed needle, the needle is blunt usually, and it ends and it pulls all the way out. And so once you get past that point, it's your high speed needle is dumping maximum fuel in. Your high speed needle is taking over. Before it gets to that point, it could be a transition there where it's the low speed needle is actually restricting it. I'll get this other carburetor here. This is an example of one that is a long low speed needle, which most manufacturers have went to, and it never, even at wide open throttle, it never pulls out. So your low speed needle can affect your high speed or your top end also. It kind of takes a balance. So you see how it's tapered. Get that in the picture there. See, it's tapered at the very end, and that, as it gets smaller, it lets more fuel in also. Well, if you were to back this out, it would actually give you more fuel in the top end also. So it's kind of a balance. Sometimes you get like a lean bog or something. You think it's the high speed, but it actually can be the low speed restricting it some. Each carb's a little bit different. So I got my truck on the warmer. I'm gonna go grab that, and then we're gonna start one up and mess with the tune a little bit. Okay, I've had this head heater on it for 10 minutes or so. Got it pre-warmed up. They always fire up better when they're warmed up. Plus, you know, if you get on the track, you don't have to wait that lap, and it's just kind of boggy or, you know, rich and stuff. I use a head heater whenever I can. So we got a screwdriver. We're gonna fire this thing up and see how it runs. I haven't fired this thing up since the last race we were at. It sounds a little bit rich yet. When you first fire them up, they're gonna sound a little bit rich. You can, the bottom end's pretty snappy. being not ran on the track yet. I would say that low speed's not, it's not on the rich side anyways. It could be a little on the lean side. Air could be different than the last time I ran it. Changing humidity and temperature will always make a difference in your tune. Although the idle is fairly low, it probably tells me that it's not too lean. If the idle is higher than the last time you ran it, or it comes in, when you go out and run a few laps, comes in, the idle's high, that probably tells you the low speed's too lean. One telltale sign is to just let it idle, clean it up. Let it idle for 5-7 seconds or so. And it shouldn't load up when I get on the gas. I'm not just going to wide open, I'm just going to feather it into it. You can tell it was a little richer there. It kind of gurgled a little bit, but that's fine. Under a load on the track, under a load on the track, it's gonna run warmer. It's gonna be leaner. One other thing to do is to kind of see where the low speed is to clean it out. Let it come down to an idle. And then pinch the fuel line. So that took maybe 4 or 5 seconds before the idle came up, which is pretty good. You want to do at least that much, probably. If you pinch the fuel line, the idle goes up right away. The low speed's too lean. Or if it never comes up, there's too much fuel in the crankcase already. Now if I do it now, it probably, after loading up, it probably won't come up. And that still came up. So I'm going to dust with the needle for a little bit. I ratcheted up the low speed at half turn. You can hear it. Oh, it's just rich. Barely running. I can raise the idle. See, it's idling, even though I richened the low speed 1/2 turn. It's idling fine now. Most people would say, well, my low speed must be set right, because I raised the idle to compensate for that rich low speed. So the low speed being rich, it's now it's just gonna be rich on the top end too. You're gonna lean the top end, and then you're gonna have an engine that gets warm as you run it. So I put the needles back where they were. Now, pinching the fuel line doesn't always make, it's just a guideline. It's like temperature and stuff. It doesn't make it for sure that's the problem or whatever, but it just gives you a guideline. A few things, you can go by temperature a little bit, you can go by the low, you can go by pinching the fuel line, just kind of get in a ballpark. I didn't get my idle quite down where it was. rich, and a lot of people would lean everything out before they hit the track. But I like to have them a little bit on the rich side. Everything just a low speed and high speed, a little bit on the rich side. It builds some temperature on the track. It works hard, and it'll start leaning out as it warms up. It never quite got back to where it was before. It seems like. It seems a little bit more rich, even though I put the needles back where I had it. Okay, we'll run it on the driveway a little bit here. Yeah, you kind of, after a full burst, it kind of runs on a little bit. It tells me the idle gap's too wide and it's too rich on the bottom. You hear that high idle, that means the idle gap's too wide. Or possibly the high speed's a little lean too. So we're gonna lean the bottom. So I lowered the idle a little bit, I leaned the bottom a little bit, and I richened the top not quite an hour even. After sitting, it's gonna load up a little bit. You can't go by. A little crisper on the bottom. See how it kind of idles up a little bit and then drops? It's telling me the low speed needle, or the idle gap is a little too wide. So I lowered the idle and leaned the low speed some. After sitting, it's going to load up like that. See, that's acceptable, especially running it on the pavement. Running on the pavement isn't the same as running on the dirt. It's much better than it was. It's not running on like it was. We'll just let it sit a little bit. Still took off pretty good. It'll always load up a little bit, but you don't want it to load up so much that it kills. When you're testing on the pavement too, you don't want to do just super long bursts. The rolling resistance is easier. It's just, you can get them close in your driveway before you go to the track, but always leave them a little bit on the rich side because they work much harder on the track. I just want to reiterate the low speed. When your idle gap is too wide, then you have to have that would mean your idle's high, so then you rich in the bottom to compensate. So then when you rich in the bottom, you end up with a wide idle gap. It'll idle fine, but then your high speed needle has to be leaner to compensate for all that extra fuel. So then you end up kind of lean on the top and rich on the bottom. and it doesn't tune. It'll run fine on the track, but it'll probably get warmer as the race goes on. So thanks for watching. I hope this video turns out pretty good. I don't know, I just kind of wung it here. I didn't really have a platform to go by or anything, so we'll see. Thanks for watching.